It never ceases to amaze me the level of expertise and excellence that we've had here with us on Monday nights, and it hasn't changed. Rachel is doing an extraordinary job. So I give you back our host for this month, Rach.
Howard, you're so kind. Thank you so much. My name's Rach, and I'm a very, very grateful recovered alcoholic. And I am just so honored and grateful to be here with such big book enthusiasts, to be asked to be of service. And I feel incredibly, incredibly grateful. And to be in this part of the book as well. We're on page 84. We're in these beautiful step 9 promises. And for anybody who's new around, this book is littered with promises all the way through the book. So I'm so excited. I know there are some new people in who are in treatment. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is what is on offer. This is what's on offer. So we started them last week, and we're on page 84. We're on the 8th promise out of the 12 promises. We're on self-seeking will slip away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down. Self-seeking will slip away. Now, back on page 62, I'm a sucker for a cross-reference, and I'm really lucky and grateful that Howard is too. Back on page 62, it tells me what the root of my troubles is. It says that selfishness and self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles, driven by 100 forms of fear. I read it like this. It was read to me like this once, and it stuck. 100 forms of self-delusion, 100 forms of self-seeking, and 100 forms of self-pity. So this is back in step 3, and these beautiful like acceptance steps. Step 1, I'm admitting I'm an alcoholic, that my life has become unmanageable. Step 2, that there may be a power greater than me that could possibly restore me back to sanity. Step 3, I'm making a decision to go ahead with the steps. I don't quite know how to do that. Turning my will and my life over to the care of something is huge. I don't know what that something is yet, but I'm making a decision to go ahead with it. And it's telling me back here on page 62 what the problem is. And now I've put in some work. I've done this inventory, this searching and fearless moral inventory. Whenever I talk about step 4, I just absolutely love the fact that it says in the step, fearless. Searching and fearless, without fear. So I'm writing down this inventory. An inventory is just a list. And I love the definition of the word inventory because it's a complete list. And what part of my big problem is that I don't feel whole. I feel separate from. I feel this hole in my soul. I feel something missing. And these steps are building me up slowly. And we're on the step 9 promises, which are just so beautiful and so profound. So I've gone through this inventory and I've shared it with my sponsor, and I'm starting to see now what my troubles are with my character defects, and I'm praying humbly for God to remove them. I'm becoming willing because I've now been able to see from a completely different perspective. My sponsor has helped me see this in an entirely different way, and it is just magic, this process. So if anybody hasn't been through it, please trust the process. It's an incredible thing. And we're here in step 9 now, so making this direct amends, unless when to do so will harm others, and self-seeking will slip away. So it's already said in the beginning of the promises that I'm going to be amazed if I am painstaking, which means meticulous and thorough. If I am painstaking about this phase of my development, we spoke about that last week, and this being one phase of my development, my growth, my evolving nature, I'm going to be amazed before I'm halfway through. Talk about a big promise. Self-seeking will slip away. And just above that, we did a brilliant cross-reference, which I absolutely love. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. It's too good a cross-reference not to reread. It's on page 161, down at the bottom of the page. And it says, being wrecked in the same vessel, being restored and united under one God. This whole unity, this thing that I've been separate, I've been alone, I've been so selfish, I've been riddled with this self-centered fear. And it says, being restored and united under one God, with hearts and minds attuned to the welfare of others. This is the magic that is on offer. I go from being self-seeking. The self-seeking for me still, even today, shows up in so many different ways. I've just been camping with a group of people, and at one point I noticed myself approval, but I used to call it people pleasing, but my sponsor likes to call it approval seeking. I'm not actually trying to please you. I'm trying to gain your approval. I'm trying to make you like me, because my self-seeking is so on me all the time. And here in step 9, it's saying it will slip away. There's loads of beautiful words in this book, like disappear, the problem has been removed, it no longer exists, it will slip away, it will dissipate. It's literally magic. So it says next, the next one, number 9, if you want to count these promises just in this part, it says our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. I mean, I love doing this, actually. I do it all the time on my book study, so forgive me if anybody's seen it before, but I thought it was so brilliant. Somebody did this to me once. I'm quite a visual learner. When I came into recovery, this was my understanding about what life is. I've got these blinkers on. This is my understanding, what I know. This is my experience, my relationships, my family, my work experience, my understanding about life. This is what I think I know. And when I come into recovery, what happens is my face, my head, everything turns around, and I see this vast expansion of limitless expansion I didn't know was there. My whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. So I did a cross-reference here to page 25, which is a biggie. There is a solution. We're still around step 1 in there is a solution, but it's telling me, it's dropping these bombs as we go through the big book. It's telling me what's on offer. And page 25 is just a beautiful page. And it says, halfway down the page, it says the great fact. And I love that word, because this is proof, this is evidence, this is a fact. The great fact is just this and nothing less. That we have had deep and effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionized, completely transformed our whole attitude towards life, towards our fellows, and towards God's universe. The central fact, there's that word again, of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. So again, you know, in this book, in this study, and I know Howard appreciates it, these threads, this repeating this information over and over again. I need to be told it over and over again. I forget so quickly. I forget what's on offer. I can get restless, irritable, and discontented very, very quickly. But it's telling me here that our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. And I was thinking about this experience that I've just had recently, right? Camping with 40 addicts. And we're all so like thoughtful in a way. Oh, sorry, did I just jump in? Did I just interrupt you? And I'm thinking, do you remember when we just used to like bark at each other and just not even care or be so insensitive or thoughtless? My whole attitude and outlook, you can't take me anywhere now because I'm mesmerized by nature. I walk down the street and I see a lamppost with a weed coming out of the like the slats in the, not slats, the pavement or whatever. And I'm just like, it's the most beautiful flower. My whole attitude and outlook towards life has changed. I'm seeing a pile of rubbish somewhere and I'm like, did you see the flower? Did you see the flower growing up between the, something's happened to me. I might be jumping cross references because I forgot to write it down, but I love that bit on page 63, just after the step 3 prayer, when it talks about being reborn. Life, this universe, obviously it has changed a little bit, but my outlook and my attitude has changed completely, revolutionized. And the more I give to this, the more I sense and feel this change come about me. So fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. This is a biggie. For me, this economic insecurity crippled me, literally crippled me. I used to feel so like hard done by. There's a saying, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I always found the money for alcohol and other substances. I always found the money somehow for that. But I always was struggling with life. There's loads of references in the book about, was I making hard going of life? And this doesn't say that people are going to disappear. It doesn't even say that I'm not going to have economic insecurity, but it tells me that the fear of it will leave me. What a beautiful promise. Now, again, this is all building up because back in step 3, it's asking me, are you ready to abandon yourself utterly to God? God either is or God isn't. That's all in step 2, where it's asking me to lay aside all of my prejudice about what I think God is. And now it's saying that this fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. It tells me back on page 67 that fear is an evil and corroding thread, and the fabric of my existence is shot through with it. So this fear is running my life. But right here, after I've done this work, after I've been brave and courageous, after I've trusted the process, after I've been rigorously honest, left no stone unturned, was completely honest with someone, and became willing, actually saw the truth about the harms that I've caused, and was willing to put it right. Step 9 has given us all of these examples of financial amends, amends in the home, what to do with relationships, how to repair what. It tells me all of these examples about how to repair these, how to make amends. And now it's saying fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. And I don't want to go on too long, but I like using these real life experiences. And I remember the first time I had a real life experience with letting go with the financial insecurity. And I remember this conversation, and it's funny what you remember because I've got a bad memory. I can't remember anything. I remember this conversation with my great grand sponsor. And we've got a saying in the UK, like when I came into recovery, I was skint. No money, right? Pandemic, no work, no money, skint. And I remember this conversation, and my great grand sponsor said, Rach, what would you be doing if you had money right now? And I had to answer honestly. I said, shopping. And I'm not one for clothes, and I'm not into material. I like my garden. I'd be zhuzhing the garden like I was. Right? I'd be zhuzhing the house. Distraction. He said the greatest gift for you to get trusting with God is poverty. You have no distractions. And you know what happened when I had no money and it was just me and God? Something that had never happened to me ever before. I got a letter through my door, and the gas and electricity company paid me because I'd overpaid them. Never before had that happened to me. I was always in the red. I was always like, oh God, I owe you. I'm sorry, I can't pay. Unmanageable. I got £389 or something. It wasn't even a small amount. And I was like, whoa. Something else crazy happened. I had, there was a situation where I had to morally choose the thing that went against my instincts. I can't remember what it was, but I remember I was like, I don't want to do the good thing. I want to do the thing that's going to get me the thing that I want. And I ended up letting go of the thing that I wanted and chose the thing that was the right thing to do. And I was walking around the park, and I'm a bit nervous about getting lost. It sounds ridiculous, but I went down a path that I hadn't been down before. Okay. So I was scared of this place where I was because it was a bit rough. And there was like, there was people had like trashed things. And I was like, don't go down there. It feels scary. But I was like, just go somewhere where you haven't been before. You're not going to get lost. It's a park. You're going to come out at a different entrance. Do you know what I found at the end of the path? I found a complete garden set. A really nice wicker garden set that somebody had chucked. And it was like somebody's trash became my treasure. I love being out in the garden. I got a table and chairs so I could sit with my family in the garden. For me, this was trusting this process. My fear of financial insecurity is lessening when I go against what I want to do, and I carry on with this process. And the more I lean into it and go, okay, I'm scared, the more God provides for me and gives me these opportunities, which makes me think, you can't really make that up. I don't want fancy clothes or whatever. I'd love a garden set, and it was given to me, right? So this fear is going to disappear, will leave me. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Now, step one tells me about my unmanageability, my thinking, my insanity. I did a couple of cross references here if anybody's interested. Page 50, where it talks about, let me just find it to remind myself. Oh, one sec. Let me just, page 50, oh, I've just lost it. One sec. It's because I'm getting distracted with a later one. I might have to leave it. I've got distracted, but no, sorry. I'm there. Bottom of the page. That was it. It kind of goes on to page 51. So once confused and baffled by the seeming futility of existence. So this was me. They show the underlying reasons why they were making heavy going of life. There's loads of references in this book about, and the other one that I did is page 58, which says cunning, baffling, powerful. But there are loads of references in this book, I couldn't pull them all, where it talks about the alcoholic not understanding, why do I do these things? Why? I can be completely sane when it comes to other things, but some things completely baffle me. And here in step 9, it says intuitively. And intuitively means without conscious reasoning. Imagine that. When I get out of the way, so without conscious reasoning, my thinking is the problem. It tells me that my thinking is the crux of the problem. And intuitively means instinctively. So I love also that we're in step 9, but you jump over the page a little bit into step 11, and it starts talking about this God consciousness. I love the way Bill Wilson drops in little bits that are like the breadcrumbs that lead to the next bit. And so it's like embedding these ideas, these new conceptions. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. And that for me really does tie in. And again, when I reread the promises, somebody did it for me once, and I like the little coinky dinks about 12. So in this bit, there are 12, and this is actually the 11th promise of the 9th step promises. So I like that it ties in with step 11. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Am I making time to pause when agitated or doubtful, so that intuitive thought can come through? And then I've got number 12 here. We will suddenly, I like that word, suddenly. It implies that I don't know when it's going to come. It could come at any time, and it could change everything. So if there is anybody on this meeting today who's struggling and thinking, I'm not getting it, I'm not in the promises, I don't feel free, I'm not comprehending the word serenity, I'm not there. Wait for it, because at some stage we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. And this line alone, it kind of blows my mind. And I've been camping, like I said, with 40 addicts, and I was thinking, Rach, you can't even pull all of the places where it says in this book, where it reiterates over and over and over again, powerlessness. Rach, you're powerless. God has all power. Infinite God, finite self. Trust this infinite love. There's so many places where it says that God is doing for me what I could not do for myself. I was beaten into a sense of reasonableness. I did not come skipping and jumping into recovery. I was surrendered, and thank God. And this is when I really start to feel these promises, feel the gratitude for this illness that I once, when I came in, I was so ashamed of. I was so embarrassed about. I felt like such a failure, such a loser, pathetic, waste of space. What has happened to me? I can't recognize myself. And here I am going, wow, there's something bigger than me, and it's doing this thing for me, and I'm going to let go. And the more I let go, the more these crazy things happen, and the more I turn into a big book lunatic who's shouting about the magic that happens in these rooms and with this experience. And don't just take my word for it, we've got this whole world. So just to carry on, it says, are these extravagant promises? Extravagant is a brilliant word, isn't it? It means exceeding what is reasonable or appropriate. It means excessive or elaborate. Now, all of this bit made me think of, oh no, it's the next bit. These extravagant promises, these elaborate promises that show up for all these different people in different ways. What blows my mind, the weed coming out of the 2 slabs in the floor, may not blow somebody else's mind. They may hear a lyric of a song and go, oh my God, that was freaky. That's what my dad used to sing to me, or whatever. These things are incredible. And they may be as big as, you know, one of my mind-blowing experiences is, I was homeless. Okay, I'm living in a tent, and I've got this hammer and carving knife, and I'm not eating, and I'm drinking to blackout every night, and I'm going insane, not just from the booze, but from the sound of the wind flapping the tent. It was like some kind of torture thing in my head. I was like going mad. And a few years into recovery, I get a phone call from someone going, Rach, do you want a job out in Spain? They're going to fly you out. And, you know, I'm not saying that to show off. I'm saying I couldn't ever comprehend it. I couldn't imagine it. My God knows that I love to eat and I love the sun. So I get flown out to a hot country where there's a chef. And I'm like, okay, that means something to me. That's an extravagant promise. And that's kind of superficial. I mean, I get more joy out of looking at the weed in the thing, but it's something that is just blows my mind. So we think not. They are being fulfilled among us. There's a promise. This is happening. Um, let's look at the evidence. I haven't got a cross reference. Oh, it's in We Agnostics. It says, let's look at the record. Somebody might help me because I'm running out of time. But, this a great American statesman put it, let's look at the record. Let's look at the evidence. These are being fulfilled among us. We would not all be here today studying this literature if it didn't promise us a life beyond our wildest dreams. And I know that that phrase isn't in the big book. I used to use it a lot. It's not in the big book, but so it says, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. So I've got a reference here to 567. I always remember that, the appendix 2 spiritual experience, because the numbers are in a row, 5, 6, and then 7. And that talks about, and Howard will know more than me, I think that came out on the second edition. But because people were like, well, I'm not having the great clean wind of the mountaintop blowing through and through. I'm not having these profound experiences. My understanding of this, and this might be completely wrong because I know everybody's experience is different and unique and beautiful. My belief, maybe opinion, so wipe it if you don't agree, but this is my experience. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. For me, I did the work with all of my heart and soul when I came in, and my experience is I haven't had another drink since. I'm 5.5 years in. So in one context, it's a huge amount of days, but I do understand that I'm just a baby in recovery, but I'm still lit up and on fire about recovery. So I feel like the sometimes quickly, it can happen quickly, and the sometimes slowly, if I hinder my own recovery, this has been my experience, the people who I've seen in recovery, and on page 25, it says, we have two options. There is no middle of the road solution. There's two options. One is to go on till the bitter end, blotting out the consciousness of my intolerable situation. I always do actions to that. That was me, blotting out the intolerable situation as best I could. And the other is to accept spiritual help. So when I am all in, when I am fearless and thorough, when I understand my step one, I'm not hanging about. It says we waste no time, blah, blah, blah. So this is my, sorry, not blah, blah, blah. That seems rude. That seems a bit disrespectful to the literature, not blah, blah, blah. But sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, they will always materialize if we work for them. There's a promise and a half. Always materialize if that important word, dependent on, we work for them. And I don't know if I'll be able to get it in. I've got a document here that I've started because this is my idea of fun. And it's, I have You guys get it. So you can't laugh at me for being a loser, because I think this is like the coolest thing ever. But I've got 7 references here to where it says in the big book, as soon as, quickly, suddenly. So I'm happy to send this to Howard. I'm going to quickly try and read it out just in the time that I've got left. So on page, don't worry about jotting it down, because we'll get it to you after somehow, some way. You can get my number. Page XXIX, it says, once a psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly, there's that word again, it means quickly, it means something happened, finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol. The only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules. So there's the promise and there's the condition. Page 8, Bill's story, paragraph 3. I was soon, there's that word, soon. I was soon to be catapulted into a 4th dimension. Love it. It tells me I can get this soon. Page 42, paragraph 3. It says, but the moment, I like that, the moment I made up my mind to go through with the process, I had the curious feeling that my alcoholic condition was relieved, as in fact it proved to be. Evidence, facts, proof. Page 46, paragraph 3. As soon, there's that two words again that gives me so much faith that I can tap back in, I can reset wherever I'm at. As soon as we admitted the possible existence of a creative intelligence, spirit of the universe, underlying the totality of things, we began to be possessed of a new sense of power and direction. Wait for it. Provided we took other simple steps. We've got 3 more people. Page 47, paragraph 2. As soon as a man can say that he does believe or is willing to believe, we emphatically assure him that he is on his way. Page 48, paragraph 1. Faced with alcoholic destruction, we soon became as open-minded on spiritual matters as we had tried to be on other questions. And the final one, page 50, paragraph 4. This happened soon after they wholeheartedly met a few simple requirements. How beautiful that all of these references in the book are telling me. But it also says, so I don't want to mislead anybody, if it's a sometimes slowly, it doesn't mean it's any less powerful at all. But for me, it means that what I have on offer is promised me if on the condition that I'm wholeheartedly putting everything into my recovery. That is just my experience that I'd like to share with you. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm so excited about hearing you. Thank you.